Welcome to the first of this series that I'm calling Three Creation Stories. My name is Rabbi Michael Gold. I'm a rabbi. I'm also finishing up my PhD in philosophy and religion. And I'm fascinated by a question: what is reality? What is really out there in the world? So we're going to look at three different answers based on three different interpretations of the beginning of Genesis and three different philosophical approaches. I suppose to start us off, I keep thinking of a story told by a physicist about three umpires arguing what do they really do for a living. And the first one says, ball, strike, I calls them as I sees them. And the second one says, no, ball, strike, I calls them as they are. And the third one said, you're both wrong. Ball, strike, but they ain't nothing till I calls them. And that will be one of the answers. They ain't nothing till somebody sees them, till we calls them. So we're going to explore what is reality. And the first answer that you might think of is, if we want to know what reality is, we have to turn to science. Whatever I have to say has to be consistent with the best science of the day. But science never, ever gives us facts. Science is never absolute. In fact, one of the great philosophers of science, Karl Popper, said that for a scientific theory to be valid, it has to be falsifiable. It's valid if there is the possibility it may be overturned at some future time. And in fact, all the great scientific theories have been overturned, particularly those that deal with the very essence of the universe. Thomas Kuhn said that the history of science is the history of, his phrase is, paradigm shifts. That the paradigm we use to see the world will be overturned in the future by scientists who may see an anomaly, something wrong with the world. For years and years and years we thought that Isaac Newton was right. He had all the answers exactly how science works, until Einstein came along and said, Newton was almost right, but if you start traveling closer to the speed of light, Newton was wrong. Science does not have absolute answers. It has some answers, and we're going to look at some of those answers as we go through this series. So what about philosophy? The branch of philosophy that deals with reality, what's really out there, what is the essence of the world, is called metaphysics. And in metaphysics, there are three different theories about what is reality. One theory, the one that probably most people believe, the one that religion teaches, it goes back to Plato. The most important philosophical teacher of this was René Descartes, and it's the theory called dualism. There are two realities out there. There is mind and there is matter. And everything is made of either mind or matter. The problem is, how do these two realities interact with each other? How does my mind affect the matter which makes up my body? Or how does the matter, chemicals I may take or drugs I might take, affect my mind? So there is a second philosophical approach that says everything is matter. This is the view followed by many, many scientists today, that mind is not real, or the word they'll use, a very fancy word, is mind is an epiphenomena. Epiphenomena is something that's not quite real, like the picture on your television set that's there, but it's not really there. It's just electrons hitting a screen. Everything's a material. Karl Marx was a materialist. Thomas Hobbes was a materialist. And then there's a third point of view that's becoming more and more important, particularly as we study Eastern religions and ways of thinking, but it often fits with quantum mechanics. It's called idealism. Idealism says that everything is mind. To exist is to exist within a mind. That was the words of one of the great idealistic philosophers, George Berkeley. So we have materialism and idealism. Those are two kinds of monism. There's only one thing out there. Or we have dualism. There's both mind and matter. Which is correct? And there's answers why all of them may be correct, all of them might be wrong. which finally brings me to religion. One of the things I love about my own religion, Judaism, is it says there are multiple interpretations of the Torah, of the document that is at the heart of Judaism. In fact, for every verse of the Torah, there's 70 interpretations. So what we're going to be doing through this series is we're going to be looking at the very, very beginning of Genesis, when reality is created. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. We're going to look at that one verse, and we're going to look at three radically different interpretations as to what's going on in that verse. Each of those three interpretations is going to lead us into various problems we're going to explore. But remember, the final question we're seeking to answer is, what is really out there? Is there something that exists independent of us? Or as the umpire said, it ain't nothing till I calls it. I look forward to beginning this lecture with the next question, dualism.